Okay, so good evening. Welcome to the February 26, 2024 Committee for Mathematics Achievement meeting. I'm Ashley Adams, and I hereby call this meeting to order. As a reminder, the Committee for Mathematics Achievement was created legislatively under KRS 158842 for the purposes of developing a multifaceted strategic plan to improve student achievement in mathematics at all levels of schooling, pre-kindergarten through post-secondary and adult. Please remember that this meeting must comply with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, and accordingly, CMA members must ensure that their video is streaming and can be seen through the duration of the meeting. Members, please mute your microphones when not talking. However, all discussions must be broadcast to the public, so be sure your microphone is not on mute when you speak. Every time you speak during the meeting, please unmute your microphone, state your name, and take a short pause to enable the software time to recognize you. For any roll call vote, it will be necessary to record the vote for each committee member, at which time the member should state his or her name, pause, and then state, "I vote yes" or "I vote no." Also, remember to please utilize the chat box for specific questions or to share resources. Minimize distractions and be present, and give all attendees an opportunity to respond and participate by limiting your discussion to no more than 2 minutes per response. So at this time, we will have a roll call. Chris, please call the roll.
Thanks. To document the attendance of those present at today's meeting, names will be announced according to how they're listed in KRS 158842. When I call your name, I'll also include the role to which you've been assigned as provided in the statute. When your name has been called, please state your name for the record and then announce present. To begin, I am serving as the committee administrator, and I will announce my name for the record that I, Chris Jarbo, am present. The president of the Council on Post-Secondary Education or designee, Amanda Ellis. The president of the Association of Independent Kentucky Colleges and Universities or designee, Mason Dyer.
Mason Dyer, present.
The secretary of the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet or designee, Jamie Link. The Commissioner of Education or designee, Crystal Rowland.
Crystal Rowland, present.
The following will be representatives with a specialty in mathematics or mathematics education who have expertise and experience in professional development, especially with coaching or mentoring of teachers from each of the 9 public post-secondary education institutions as defined in KRS 164001. University of Kentucky, Lisa Amick.
Lisa Amick, present.
University of Louisville, Jenny Bay Williams. Western Kentucky University, Kanita Duclos. Northern Kentucky University, Funda Gunalates.
Funda Gunalates, present.
Eastern Kentucky University, Jamie Marie Miller.
Jamie Marie Miller, present.
Kentucky State University, Jonathan Rogers.
Jonathan Rogers, present.
Kentucky Community and Technical College System, Jason Taylor.
Jason Taylor, present.
Murray State University, Ed Thome. Okay, I thought I saw him come on. I'll check that in just a second. Adult Education Instructor, Zach Gibbons.
Zach Gibbons, present.
Adult Education Instructor, Tanner Strine. Elementary mathematics teacher, Jeannie Stumbo. Elementary mathematics teacher, Alvia Littleton.
Alvia Littleton, present.
Middle school mathematics teacher, Amy Leesgang.
Amy Leesgang, present.
Middle school mathematics teacher, Natalie Rashad. High school mathematics teacher, Ashley Adams.
Ashley Adams, present.
High school mathematics teacher, Joanna Stevens.
Joanna Stevens, present.
Elementary school administrator, Todd Wooldridge. Middle school administrator, Chris Barwell. Executive Director of the Kentucky Center for Mathematics, Kelly DeLong.
Kelly DeLong, present.
And then we do have a confirmation from Dr. Thome, who is present. So thank you for verifying that. We have 14 members present, so we do have a quorum.
All right, so the minutes from November's meeting were shared prior to today's meeting, but a link is being placed in the chat. So if you want to take a minute before we get a motion, if you need to look at that. So I will entertain a motion to approve when you're ready.
Alvia Littleton, I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
This is Lisa Amick. I will second.
Thank you. We will continue with a roll call vote.
Mason Dyer,
Mason Dyer, aye.
Crystal Rowland,
Crystal Rowland, aye.
Lisa Amick,
Lisa Amick, aye.
Funda Gunaltes,
Funda Gunaltes, yes.
Jamie Marie Miller,
Jamie Marie Miller, aye.
Jonathan Rogers,
Jonathan Rogers, aye.
Jason Taylor,
Jason Taylor, aye.
Ed Thome, thank you. Zach Gibbons,
Zach Gibbons, aye.
Alvia Littleton,
Alvia Littleton, aye.
Amy Leesgang,
Amy Leesgang, aye.
Ashley Adams,
Ashley Adams, aye.
Joanna Stevens,
Joanna Stevens, aye.
Kelly DeLong.
Kelly DeLong, aye.
And did I leave anybody out? Okay, thank you.
All right. The agenda was also shared prior to tonight's meeting, and a link for that's in the chat. You can see it on the screen there. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Zach Gibbons, I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Lisa Amick, I second.
Thank you. We will continue with a roll call vote.
Thank you. Mason Dyer,
Mason Dyer, aye.
Crystal Rowland,
Crystal Rowland, aye.
Lisa Amick,
Lisa Amick, I.
Funda Gunatesh,
Funda Gunatesh, yes.
Jamie Marie Miller,
Jamie Marie Miller, aye.
Jonathan Rogers,
Jonathan Rogers, aye.
Jason Taylor,
Jason Taylor, aye.
Ed Thome, Zach Gibbons,
Zach Gibbons, aye.
Alvia Littleton,
Alvia Littleton, aye.
Amy Leesgang,
Amy Leesgang, aye.
Ashley Adams,
Ashley Adams, aye.
Joanna Stevens,
Joanna Stevens, aye.
Kelly DeLong.
Kelly DeLong, aye.
All right. Thank you. So next we'll have KDE updates.
Thank you, Ashley. So this month, I wanted to share with the committee that we have awarded some MAF mini grant recipients. So we announced 76 awards to schools. These mini grants provide $40,000 for the purchase of high quality instructional resources and the associated high quality professional learning for implementation for schools across the state. And these grants were open to elementary, middle, and high schools. And so we're excited that those 76 schools will be supported in selecting and implementing HQIR. And you can look on the website to see those specifically named schools and districts.
Thank you. All right, so our main focus today is going to be looking at the current strategic plan and begin thinking about the revision process. We looked at another state plan in November, and based on that, we were asked to provide some feedback on needs or pillars to potentially include in Kentucky's plan. And then a survey was taken at the conclusion of the November meeting regarding what should be included in Kentucky's strategic plan. So those responses indicated access to effective teachers and opportunities, professional learning, coaching, collaboration, and fostering positive experiences for students P20 were areas that committee members would like to see addressed in this strategic plan. The impact survey that was given to educators in late 2023, if you looked at that, it also indicated that professional learning, coaching opportunities, and stronger resources were areas that could be improved. So we feel like this is something that across the state everyone agrees with. So something else to consider is that the current plan that we've been looking at was developed in 2006, and so a lot has changed in 18 years. Conversations and feedback from the November meeting also generated 3 big changes that we should consider as we think about updating our current strategic plan. And one is that learners have changed. We know their use of technology, social media, experiences prior to beginning formal schooling, and obviously the pandemic were things that have affected learners. And then our teaching workforce has changed. We know there's a teacher shortage and alternative certifications. And then communities have changed. We have a lot more homelessness in our areas where we didn't have it prior. We have a lot of addiction, transients. So with all that being said, tonight I'd like for us to take another look at the current plan and to really start thinking about setting goals for revising the plan. In September, we looked at the strategic plan and we notated items that we already knew or wanted to know more about. We also took some time to think about what steps are necessary to move Kentucky forward. In November, we looked at the current landscape of mathematics and at another state plan that was organized into pillars rather than needs. And so now we need to focus more deeply on what changes are critical to Kentucky's plan. So first, we're going to work in breakout groups for about 25 minutes and just reevaluate the plan in terms of these two questions. What needs to be changed and what's a reasonable next step in making that change? So once you get in your group, you may want to choose a spokesperson who will share your group's thoughts on the updates that we'd like this committee to make when we come back together as a whole group. And in your groups, I want you to take some time to look at the current plan and then discuss what you see that needs to be changed or updated. So being more specific with that. My hope for tonight is that we can identify some specific parts of the current plan that need to be addressed as we move forward. So each group, you'll already be put in groups, and we'll put you in that in just a minute. So each group will have a Jamboard page to record your conclusions, make notes, things like that. So please use this space to record your thinking and any other concerns or conversations that will be beneficial to us towards updating the plan. All right, so are there any questions or are there any resources that you would like for us to link in the chat? We could put the Louisiana plan that we had before and looked at. We could, if there's anything about like the KRS that you want to look at that needs to be in the plan, if there's anything like that that you would like added in the chat, just let us know. All right, Chris, so do you want to go ahead and put everybody in their breakout group?
I do. Just 1 second.
Okay, so I think we have a lot of good starts to conversations. I don't know, how far we got into it, but if someone would like to speak from each group, just to kind of give us some type of, what was your group talking about, discussing about to the whole group? If anybody would like to share.
This is Lisa Amick. I'm sorry. Is anyone else able to write on the Jamboard? I have a view only, and I'm trying to add our notes to there, so maybe everybody can see our notes, but I'm a view only.
So I ended up having to sign into my Google account to allow me to put my notes in there.
I am signed in, but I don't think you guys know my Google account. So if you added like my UK email, like that's not my Google account.
Mm-hmm.
I will check on that. I had it set as open to everybody, but I will check that real quick.
Okay, I'll just stick our notes in the chat. We have 5 notes that we talked about. One that we wanted to add the community piece, an alignment between universities, schools, and including families in that. So I think that was like need number 4. These notes are rough, I'm sorry. Need number 3, we were suggesting like getting rid of the intervention piece and incorporating those ideas into a broader goal about like effective pedagogy. Our 3rd is that we suggest breaking need 2 into 2 goals, one being about those agreed pedagogies I just talked about, and intervention would be looped in there, and then a second being teacher recruitment and retention. And then we are confused about need number 1. Like we kind of feel like the KSA does that, and maybe that wasn't in existence back when this goal was written, or maybe we were kind of confused about why we need more assessment. And then we ended the conversation. I posed the question of, do we want to add a need for like a curriculum framework? I know some states like California, they do like a California state framework where curriculums are reviewed. So that's what our group talked about.
Okay, would anybody else like to share? Amy, would you care to share what we talked about in our group? Just a little bit about that. Some of the
Sure.
questions we had.
Some of the questions that we had were just like clarification on, I guess like P through 20, clarification on like if you're talking college mathematics, what exactly are you talking for college mathematics? And then the biggest thing that we talked about was wanting student input on things, that we felt like students weren't involved enough and didn't feel like that, I guess that school was their home. So they didn't feel like they belonged there. So just having student input was a big topic. I don't think I missed anything.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to share anything?
I can share some of the conversation from group 2. We were really bringing back those 4 areas that the committee had talked about previously of wanting to make sure that they are reflected. And so that was around the teacher recruitment and retention efforts, the professional learning and coaching and collaboration piece. And then we also talked about opportunity and access, really providing students opportunity for taking challenging mathematics courses, but also in supporting them in challenging grade level content as well. We did talk about assessment a bit in our group and how that kind of feels like it's sort of out there, where the things that we have discussed as priority areas do support positive student experiences if they're utilized for student use. So we know that there's a lot of innovation happening around assessment where students are owners of that assessment information, and we have dynamic ways of measuring student learning and allowing students to use that information to help them grow in their mathematics. And so there was talk about how that assessment really kind of fit more into the other goals that the committee has discussed. There was discussion about it being more of like a framework where, ultimately we want students to be successful in mathematics and have positive experiences, and that those would be supported by access to highly effective teachers with opportunity and access, and with teachers being supported with professional learning and collaboration. The group did talk about liking the organization of the other state plan that we had looked at previously around those pillars, and that it was a more innovative and organized visual of how these pieces would fit together more like a framework. And so I believe our group was interested in seeing what that might look like. And even we did take a step into what reasonable next steps might we need to for moving forward. And one of the options was perhaps having a subcommittee that really looks at how the architecture of the strategic plan and how it could be designed in a way that helps to communicate the goals of the plan to all stakeholders and show sort of an innovative approach to addressing our goals in mathematics. And so really, we made some notes about within those 4 areas, identifying 1 to 2 goals around each of those elements and really coming up with some actions that would get us movement towards attaining those goals. Kelly, is there anything that I missed, or Funda, that you would add?
No, I think one of the things that we did say is that that physical document is going to be super important. So we have to think deeply, and that the actionable steps, so that whatever we determine are those overarching, we're thinking about those needs that capture the essence of what we're wanting to convey, but then some very descriptive bulleted lists of less is more that really can be actionable across the 172 school districts and all of the auxiliary stakeholders, that we just say, you can't back the truck up. We're going to need to really get to some really, fine, let's do this well. And so we thought that the subcommittees would be able to do that. And then again, circling back to that conversation about the physical form, we want innovation. So we want us to think innovatively and be forward thinking about what our kids can do in this, as we project ourselves 10 years, but then we also want it physically, to look that way so that we are proud of this document.
Yeah, and Kelly, as you were talking, it made me think, this really is across through grade 20, right? And so what do those math experiences look like for students all the way through post-secondary? And so really identifying those areas that would be most important so that we can focus our efforts there in moving forward.
I use the metaphor of a poem, that we're going to get it down to those little poetic pieces because it's going to be so hard to craft.
Great. That's really good information. Does anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I will speak for group 3. Even though my 2 counterparts kept answering my crazy questions, I'll speak with the notes that I took based on that. One of the first things that we noticed that on the bullet about the KMC to provide more stronger interventions for secondary and in middle school and secondary, what we found missing was that the elementary also needs that kind of, the KMC also needs to support the elementary, especially since they're not usually the ones coming out of a mathematic focus course load. We thought that what needed to happen in each step was that the students needed to be focused on more. We thought that in step need 1 that they were, but we think that as you get into the stakeholders and stuff, that our mind went more to adults as opposed to, okay, well, what about the students? Because we did feel that one of the next steps is actually creating a positive student learning. I pointed out as the elementary person that technically they can fail every year of elementary school and even middle school possibly, because the only credits they need to get out of high school with are those 3 math credits. But if you have no foundation, you never pass an algebra, geometry, or algebra 2. So we thought there needed to be some focus back there. We looked at recruiting. We thought recruiting and retention definitely needed to be a next step. I asked the question, does the education department and the mathematics department of the college talk to each other? Because technically the math piece has all the mathematicians, but do they want to be teachers? Or are they even interested in that? And then we just went off on a tangent of where possibly we could get more math teachers or mathematicians that would be willing to teach it at the different levels. We thought that we agreed with students needing opportunity and access. We wanted to change intervention to coaching. We felt more coaching was needed for the teachers. I think that was more of the problem area for us, at least. Let me see what else we did. And I think I hit all these highlights. Like I said, my 2 partners were fantastic. I was waiting for one of them to speak, but they answered all my questions.
Great, thank you. So lots of things that we've talked about, things that are missing in our plan, things that we want to change. We definitely want it to be here, more student focused, but also, how are we going to support our teachers and be more intentional and specific and have action goals that we can actually achieve. One thing also that I would like to see personally is that in some way, form, or fashion when we do this, that we also include a way that this is going to be communicated, because I feel like I try to stay involved with as much as I can, and this plan prior to me being on this committee, I didn't know anything about as a high school math teacher. And like I said, I try to stay involved and know as much as I can, and I didn't know anything about this plan. And I would be safe to say that my administrators don't know anything about this plan. So I definitely would like, once we get to the meat of what we want this to be, that we also focus on now, how are we going to, what are going to be those steps so that everyone is, a part of this plan and knows it, and that we see it through and we don't just, make it. So we can see there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so I'm glad that some of us have talked about maybe forming some subcommittees, because otherwise this committee is going to have to meet a whole lot more often. But I feel like we also talked about that there's maybe some other shareholders that we would like to be involved, definitely students. Our group talked about, having some students talk about, ways that they feel like this needs to be changed and updated. So how do you all feel about forming subcommittees to do some work before we have our next meeting? Anybody like to say anything about that? Or are there other shareholders, if we do subcommittees, that you would like to see involved?
Just speaking for adult education, I think it would be a good idea to bring some more people from adult ed in as additional shareholders.
Great.
It also depends on the focus of subcommittees. If you feel like there is an expertise in the state about that area, I think it might be good to invite those people.
Yeah.
We also are only engaging the public colleges and universities on CMA. So if you want perspectives from the institutions that are private, and I'm not saying we do, but we're I think that's true in K-12 too. I don't think we have any representation of from the private sector. So that's just the way the committee's defined.
So does anybody have any objection to forming form subcommittees? Okay. So we need to decide the specific focus of the subcommittees. And so what we could do is we're going to be sending out an email later, so that you can have more time to think about this also. So if you think after we talked about it, oh, I wish maybe we would have added this or talked more about this. So we'll send this out in the next day or two. And so that you can give us some more feedback on what you would like to see the formation of these specific subcommittees. But we also need people to be involved in the subcommittees. So on that, we'll also send on the email if you would be willing to participate in a subcommittee or lead one. So next, we really just we're going to look at a tentative timeline that we've developed for your review for you to look at. And so we're thinking we will start this subcommittee work as soon as possible. And then in June or July, we would like to have an in-person CMA meeting so that these subcommittees can come back and show us, here's what we've done with that. And then, thinking of September, that we look at it as like a draft, first draft there to look at. So does anybody have any questions about that or concerns or thoughts in our email that we'll send out, we will send possible dates for the June and July, so you can let us know when you're available. So any thoughts or questions about that? Or on anything that we've discussed tonight? Okay, so we will set that in-person date as soon as we get the feedback from the survey. And I really look forward to working with you all on subcommittees and hope that you're willing to participate. So if we don't have anything else at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Jackie Marie Miller, make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Jason Taylor, second.
Thank you. So the meeting is adjourned at 6:04 p.m. And thank you all so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.